Hi everybody, Arky Rick here, Arky Homesteader channel. The thought has come to mind about all this controversy that's been on YouTube about what exactly is homesteading. Well, I think homesteading to many people is a lot of different things. To me, homesteading is kind of getting back to the land, maybe growing and raising your own food, building your own buildings, becoming more self-sufficient, not so dependent on going to work each day at a regular job, driving, having new vehicles, just a lot of the things that I did for years that seemed to be really unnecessary. I didn't really need them, and I found myself to be paying for things all the time. All the time I had bills. So I guess in our 50s, we decided we were kind of tired of that. And we bought some rural property and had very few building restrictions on it. And we moved a camping trailer out on it, 29-footer. And we lived in that for a year while we started building our homestead. The first thing we built is my wife and I built this little building. And the reason we did it was to have a place for my son, who was living in Ohio then, for a place for him to stay while he helped me build this house. Now, this house is about 1,400 square feet, I forget. But we built it ourselves, my son and I. We wired it, we plumbed it, I hired a septic tank to be put in by a guy that did that professionally. And but I put the plumbing and the electrical and all the other utilities in myself. We installed other buildings. My wife and I have. That's a chicken coop. That's a little barn. There's a sawmill way back there. That little building on the left there with the white door was our laundry and our bathroom while we lived in the camper. We no longer have the camper anymore. We sold it years ago. But for a year, I had a composting toilet, a washer and a dryer, a hot water tank, and a shower in that building. And it was quite a luxury for us after living in a camper with a really tiny little bathroom that you had about 5 minutes of hot water. Anyway, what I'm getting to is many folks have different definitions of homesteading, and I guess my definition is a little different than others. We heat with wood, we conserve water, and we also save rainwater. There's a container there that holds 250 gallons, and I can take the water off of the roof, and we store it in there, and we use it for watering. And actually, way back there in the back, underneath those two blue tarps, are two old washer ringers. And my wife, in the summertime, she likes to do that. And she'll use them washer ringers, and she'll hang everything on the clothesline. And she says it reminds her of when she was a girl in West Virginia, how her aunt's farm, that's how they did it. Actually, they wash the clothes by hand. And there's our wood shed. And 90% of the heat in our house is produced with a wood burner. Here's another pile of wood that we keep. We have a kind of an outside kitchen out here, which is a mess. But in the summertime, we do our canning out here because it's a little cooler. And you can see everybody has a homestead has to have chainsaws, wheelbarrows, tools, you name it. You know, I mean, I've got so much stuff, but this is stuff that I accumulated while I was working. And wood splitter, that's a necessary item if you got a homestead. We even have a little fire ring out here outside the house, which I actually build it to cook off of, if I can just get my wife to stop burning trash in it. Here's the chickens that we raise. We raise them for eggs and meat. And we've been doing that since we started the homestead. We like animals, and we have a few. We don't have a lot. We have these chickens, and we have 2 goats, and we have 5 cows, and then various cats and dogs. But we've tried to become as self-sufficient as possible, and we've achieved it pretty good. We have very little debt. We don't drive anything new. We have no loans on any vehicles. We only own 1 vehicle, and it's an old 2000 Dodge pickup truck, but it's paid for. And when we bought this land, in I think it was 05, when we bought this land, we purchased it on homeowner financing or landowner financing, and put a small down payment on it, and I think it was $3,000, and we began making payments on it. We paid on it for about a year, and then we actually sold our place in town and then moved out here and lived in a camper, and that was in about 2005. Now, I retired 3 years ago. And my wife is retired also. She was a realtor. I was a project manager at a construction company. And all that time, while we were making money, we were putting it into the homestead and working our way into getting out of debt. So now we have very little debt. We only owe about 2.5 more years on the property. We have a very small payment. And we'll have the property paid off in about 2.5 years. So then we won't have a land payment either. We live a simple life. We raise and can a lot of our own food, but we go to a grocery store too. My wife watches my 6-year-old grandson regularly. We pick him up from school, and you know, it's a simple life. We don't go out to eat a lot. Occasionally, and a lot of times just running to McDonald's is a night out, you know. Not that I really think that it's healthy, but yeah, you got to have some junk food once in a while. The other thing that we do on this land is I purchased a sawmill when we first bought the land, and I've used that sawmill to make lumber for almost all the buildings on this property. And every building that you see on this property has been built by my wife and I, and including our house. So anyway, back to the sawmill. I found out after I retired about 3 years ago, I never used this sawmill to sell any lumber. I just made it for myself. Anyway, I opened up a little website. It cost me $50 a month on Google, and I advertised it, and it's actually brought me in customers to buy lumber off of me. I kind of specialize in cutting slabs, large table slabs out of oak and cherry and cedar and walnut. You can see a few of them there, and they're stocked. Sawmill's a mess. It's been raining a lot. We got mud all over the place. But anyway, that's what we do for extra money. And I can't tell you how many times this old sawmill has helped pay some of our expenses. Anyway, not everybody does it the way we do. Some people do it in the town. They have gardens, maybe a few animals. Other people, we have good friends. Pastor Joe Fox from Viking Preparedness. He's a good friend of mine. He lives down the road from me. Him and his wife live totally off grid. No electricity, no running water, composting toilets, solar applications, and he started with literally nothing but his land, just like I did. And they're living a good life. He's got a YouTube channel too, quite popular actually. And you know, they're doing it a little harder than us, but they're happy, and that's what they want to do. We kind of like having electricity. We thought about solar application when we first started the place, and we found that to get solar to run the things that we wanted in our home would have cost about a $10,000 investment. Well, that was way too much. We didn't have that kind of money. And we were building as we made money. And, you know, we just took our time about doing things. So it was much more easier to hook up to the grid, which was nearby. And I did that myself. They ran the power down to the pole, and from the pole to the house and all these other buildings that you see around here, I put the wiring in. Now, I have had experience all my life in construction, so I'm pretty good at it. I know how to do it. But the electricity has been a good investment for us. We spend maybe $1,000 to $1,200 a year on electric bills, but we sure get a whole lot out of it. And so, you know, it's worked out for us. But some folks choose not to do that. And that's fine. That's fine. That doesn't mean anything different. So homesteading is to you what feels good to you. So, you know, we don't need to criticize each other because you're off grid and I'm not, and, you know, whatever. But keep that in mind. And if you decide to homestead, go and do it. I started in my 50s. I'm now 67 years old. And I'm happy. I don't have a boss, except my wife. And it's a good life. And if you like videos like this, please like and subscribe. I promise you, if you subscribe to me, I will subscribe to you. And if I forget to, you just send me an email, and I promise you, I will subscribe to you. Thank you for watching. Have a good day, and God bless you.